Hello everybody, it's Jeff here. I guess this is sort of kind of like a face reveal in a way. I definitely wasn't planning to do like some giant like mystery reveal of like, person behind the mask or some shit. I think we all know how bad that can lead to. And today's video is more so just talking about where I've been for like a good couple of years now. You'll notice that my microphone quality is way higher and way better than what it used to be in my last video, especially. And that's because this is like a genuine microphone. You can't really see anything, but like around me, I'm like surrounded by actual music equipment, and that's kind of where I've been for those past couple of years. I've been really diving into music, and like going to school for it and trying to do my own compositions with my own concepts in mind. I want to do some more stuff related to that for future YouTube videos, but I'm gonna talk about that later, maybe probably towards the end of the video. The whole purpose of this video is to kind of talk about like how I got to where I am now. In a way, there's no really purpose, I guess, for doing this. It's kind of more so to maybe instill something into somebody to help them realize that, oh, hey, maybe not exactly what his process was, but maybe something similar, or interpret it in their own life or things like that. I'm not trying to get philosophical or anything, but I just want to like share my story of how I got here. Maybe somebody at some point can like have a click in their mind, like, oh wait, I can relate this to this, and then I start, and this whole like chain reaction happens, and I think that'd be pretty cool. And also just because I just want to talk about it. Nothing, no greater purpose or reasoning or anything like that. So what I'm going to be talking about for the most part in this video is just kind of how much I love music and like how I got into it as much as I did, and sort of like how I realized it. And after that realization, I like looked back even more, and then later realized how much into music I was even when I was a kid, like without even realizing it until like a year or so ago. So yeah, without further ado, let's just get into it. The point in the story I want to start off on is back when I was a kid. I will get to eventually like how I came to realize all of this stuff that I'm leading up to, I guess. But as a kid, I played a fuck ton of video games, like a lot. I like wake up 7 a.m. like sharp, like deadass, like sharp, to get up and play games. And the first game that I've been told and that I can recall that I've genuinely played was Mortal Kombat Deception. Obviously, I have a huge nostalgic point for that game just because I've been playing it quite literally as long as I can remember. And subconsciously, I think this is kind of where it all started. I think when I look back at the game and think about the more memorable parts to me is probably coming more from the music of the game. More so each stage that has their own songs to them. The one that stands out specifically is Onaga's arena. I can't recall the exact stage name or anything, but I remember hearing that, and like I would hear it so many times just because like whenever I played Deception, I would either be playing Conquest or I'd be playing just the regular like arcade mode thing, and I'd always get to Onaga and fight Onaga and etc, etc. But growing up, I realized how much that song really stuck with me inside my head. It's nothing like insane or anything, but it's something that like definitely very much called to me and very much brought forth the memories of that stage in fighting Onaga. And it's happened through a various amount of things, probably throughout my entire childhood. Mortal Kombat is definitely not the only one. I think the next best example would probably be from Mean Bean Machine. Shout out to anybody that actually knows that without looking it up. God damn, that's an old ass game. We had this like Sonic collection like game that had like a ton of like super old classic Sega games, and one of them on there was Mean Bean Machine. My dad really liked to give us games that require brain energy and like require some sort of mental thought process and not just kill or some mindless thing. And one of the ones he would always usually encourage was Mean Bean Machine. And at its core, Mean Bean Machine is what's now called Puyo Puyo. I don't know the exact history of it, so I could totally be wrong on that. It could have been Puyo Puyo even back then. But I played that game like a fuck ton. And in this game, I specifically knew that I was only playing it because of the music, of just how much I love the music. From the main menu and the stages from like 1 through 8, I believe. And that's when like there's a major shift in the song and not just a ramp in tempo. And especially for the stages of like 8 to 12 or 8 to 11, if I remember, that specific song is one I would always play the game to get to because I just love that song. It was a little more heavier, it was a lot more distorted, it was more more darker in a way, in contrast to the other song that you played beforehand. And then on top of that, after you beat the game and you get through the regular end credits, there's the staff roll. That song stuck with me a lot. I would always sit there and just listen to the music, even though you could probably skip the staff roll credits at that point. I just sat there and just listened to the music because it really stuck with me. Like, it's very simple, very straightforward music, but I just connected with it so much more than I would expect, I guess, normally. Those songs are probably more focused on video games as I grew up as a kid. I believe there's a decent amount more that I can maybe remember, but not off the top of my head. But another song that I really grew up with, that was definitely a lot older, maybe like 10-ish, around there, is a song called Flocka. I remember my parents, or my sister, or somebody in my family played this song, and another time I just heavily connected with the song. Granted, like, I'm not a lyrical person, like, and I don't think I ever have been, and with that, I've obviously focused more on the instrumental and what's going on in the background and not so much as the lyrics, and that's definitely coming back later. Flocka is one of those songs to me that felt insanely melancholic. It's a lot slower of a song, the elements are a lot more simpler, there's some good layering in there, and the main part of the song that really stuck out to me in its melancholy is that solo brass that plays towards like the last bit of the song or in the middle of the song, whatever you want to call it. It plays in both sections. Music now, when I listen to music now, like, I definitely have a slight bias and more tendency to listen to more melancholic music. Flocka is definitely a one-of-a-kind song, especially to what I've been exposed to and what I know of. So nothing can obviously replace that or beat that, but that's definitely a song that genuinely probably set that in stone, that kind of music taste in stone for myself, especially growing up as a kid. The more I grew up, the more things I started listening to, and some stuff that really stuck in my mind, like the super iconic song from How to Train Your Dragon, or even a little beforehand, back when Imagine Dragons was really popping on the radio when they first released Demons. The chorus was something I was just absolutely hooked on. There's just so many things going on in the chorus, at least to my ears as a kid, that I just listened to the chorus, like specifically just the chorus, like over and over and over again. This was kind of a hint towards what kind of music I actually and really enjoy, and not necessarily specific parts of songs, and more so like more focused on the whole content of the song, the whole reason why I like the song, and not just because of the small section or the small bit that just happened in the song. And I'll get to that later for sure. Pretty much my entire childhood up until almost junior year of high school, I didn't develop my own music taste, but there was a big influence on my music taste basically from freshman year all the way up until junior year, and the main artist for that was Logic. Logic was somebody that was introduced to me when I was pretty young by my own sister. I definitely feel like I have to say this, but I know Logic is not necessarily everybody's favorite rapper, especially in hip-hop. People definitely refer to other people, and I totally get that. I totally respect that. I'm not gonna say you're wrong or anything. I get it. I will admit that, yeah, at some point Logic did fall off, but he is definitely coming back nowadays. But back then, when I first started listening to him, there was something about his music that really pulled me in. As I said before, I'm definitely not a lyrical person, and hip-hop lyrics are a pretty big thing, obviously in any other kind of music as well. I think hip-hop as well is where it definitely comes into certain vocabulary and things you have to know because of how people rhyme and their flow, and what kind of messages they are trying to portray or say in their hip-hop songs. And Logic definitely has some corny lines and some stuff that's just an alright, I guess, kind of deal. But outside of the whole lyrical aspect of things, I always think that something that Logic almost always nailed on, I think almost regardless of any song, was the production of his music. I think Six, who is his main producer, just absolutely fucking kills it every single time. There's so many songs that have such a unique identity to themselves, and even though there's been a couple times when he has reused beats for different songs, sometimes I can agree with people that, yeah, that's come on, you can do better kind of deal. But at the same time, I don't blame him. The dude's been releasing music yearly for 10 plus years. I don't know the exact number, but I know at the very minimum 10 plus years he's doing an album each year. So I don't blame him for reusing some musical stuff because of just how much of an output he has for his discography. Again, there was like a hidden element in his music that I didn't realize until later that I really enjoyed, but was something I did really notice that I really enjoyed from his music was the drums. And the biggest example I could probably give for that would probably be Nikki. Nikki is definitely one of his older songs from Under Pressure, and it's nothing super crazy, I wouldn't think, in terms of like drums, especially, and especially if I'm like speaking to a drummer or anything, I wouldn't say that that song's like crazy on drums or anything. But the final like instrumental chorus that goes on in there, those drums really like stuck with me for some reason. The drums to me were like super powerful, even though they weren't very loud or anything. I really liked how well they played along with the main melody, which again, that hid an element in there that I didn't realize what it actually was, and not specifically the drums, which again, I'll come back to later. And so this really piqued like a huge interest in drums for me. And that definitely was like, if we're talking about like a snowball rolling down the hill and getting bigger and bigger, this is definitely the point where the snowball was formed, for sure. So I mentioned that from freshman year all the way to junior year, I didn't have my own music taste. That's because in junior, that's when I actually decided to start watching some anime, and the Japanese music really started to influence me at that time. I'm not going to talk about too much about anime today, just because I've already made a huge video about that. Definitely my main focus for this video is more music than it is anime, but anime does play a huge part into my music taste today, especially today. And because I had this slight interest in drums at this point, if you've ever listened to any sort of Japanese music, especially anime music, you'll know that the drums like almost always go crazy. Like they're very active. Some of them are pretty fast paced and pretty loud for the most part. And to me, that was really sick. Like I would listen to his music and I'd be like, oh my god, it'd be so awesome if I could play something like this. And then that feeling of just wanting to learn the drums and be able to play along with this kind of music kept building up until it completely solidified. And by this point, I mean like the snowball that's been made is like fucking massive, was from Milestone. I did talk about this song before. This song is like huge to me. It's like it holds such a huge point in my heart, just because of how much like I love this song, how much it's influenced me. And I've talked about Milestone before. Milestone is like a 7-minute song. It's pretty long, and by no means is it super complex. Is it super gorgeous, like super catchy kind of thing? It's nothing insane. And I think that's a part of the reason why that really got to me. The main reason why I bring up Milestone is because the drums in there are so simple. They are very simple, especially compared to the average anime song. And Milestone is an ending credit song for an anime. I can't really remember what the anime was called, but I remember I watched it and I listened to the end credit song and I was like, wait, hold on, this song's fucking gas. And so I started listening to the song and I kept listening more and more, and it was just 7 minutes of just absolute like glorious music to me. Like I said, like nothing crazy about the song, nothing super complex about the song. I think a main part of it was because it drove in that melancholic vibe. And I've talked about this melancholic vibe with Flocka, of how I genuinely think this song like really instilled this huge sort of bias to melancholic music for my own music taste. And Milestone like perfectly fit within that category of melancholy. Added on top of that with how much I love the song, and then I listened more to the drums, the song was the final push for me to buy a drum set. So I bought the drum set. I believe it was the LEC's Nitro kit. Things started this is the point where the snowball has started rolling. Like very slowly it started rolling, but it has started rolling at this point. And it's definitely all thanks to Milestone. So during this whole point where I'm super into Japanese music, one of my closest friends, he sends me this playlist because he knew I was looking for new music. I'm pretty picky with my music taste. There's like certain things have to happen within a song in order for me to like it. And obviously those things kind of vary. My music taste is not very confined to a certain genre or anything. I would say I'm somewhat broad. I definitely don't want to be one of those people that say, oh yeah, I listen to anything or everything or whatever. But I keep a mostly open mind when I listen to music. So he sends me this playlist because he knew I was looking for new music, and it was like a 500 song playlist. I remember I saw this playlist, I was like, what the fuck, like, what did you make or some shit? And he's like, no, he said he found it and he found some good songs on there. And I was like, okay, sweet. So a good chunk of it was like Japanese music. So I checked this out in my car. I put the playlist on and I hit shuffle. The very first song that plays on there is Love Me, Love Me, Love Me by Kikuo. Oh my god. This set off like a entirely new perspective of music to me. I've mainly noticed more so the kind of waltz music or music that's not necessarily in normal time, like 4 for example. Obviously Love Me is in 3 or 6, however you want to count it. Definitely more 3 in my opinion, just saying. And this set off like a giant interest in Kikuo. I'm like, who the hell is this guy? What is this genre? This music is so unique to me. It's so interesting. There's so many things going on. There's so many things on the right side, on the left side. Like, what's the song even talking about? And just off the first impression, I was completely hooked. I want to state that Vocaloid in general as a genre, I think is cool, but the only artist that I really like and enjoy from Vocaloid is Kikuo. I think he has such a unique take on the Vocaloid genre. He's the only Vocaloid artist I like listen to like a lot. I mean, there's other ones I listen to, like the only other one I listen to is probably Looots, but that's really it. I just think that the overall genre and the overall artists of Vocaloid, to me, they just sound very similar. And by similar, I mean from what I know of, it's just pretty fast-paced music. And like, yes, it has its complexities, but I'm not a huge fan of like the super fast, like boom, 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 like fast kind of music like that. It's just not my thing. So this sets off a whole dive into Kikuo and his music. And it's been like maybe 5 years now, closer to 6 years now since I've been listening to Kikuo. And I'm a fucking fan, man. I am such a huge fan of his music. Going through his whole discography, I'm just a huge fucking fan of the guy. I have some Spotify, my raps and like where I've placed some like top listeners, and I've got this thing. If you know, you know. That's the best way I can describe this thing. If you know, you know. The only thing I can say about this is that this is like Kikuo's character, I guess. His name's Hoshi, and this is like a resin statue of his character, of like an artist character, I guess. It's pretty dang big. Like, my hand is about just as tall as it, just barely. But yeah, it's really nice. I really like this thing. So Kikuo really sparked a new perspective on music for me. And so much so to the point that as I was listening to his discography and listening to his different albums, what kind of music this guy has made, all of a sudden, one of these songs I listened to, I tear up. It was the very first time that I can recall that I've actually teared up to a song that wasn't sentimental or anything like that. It was purely because I was just listening to the music and I just started tearing up. Going on, I'll probably be saying crying than I will say tearing up. When I say crying, I definitely mean more tearing up. I just say crying for some reason instead of tearing up. But just so you know, like when I say crying, I just mean I'm tearing up. I'm not like bawling my eyes out or anything. So Kikuo marks the very first artist that I can recall that I genuinely cried to. I can't recall the exact song title of what song it was. I just remember, because all his music most of the time is in Japanese, and obviously I can't read or understand like Japanese like that. So I'm mainly going off of like covers or what album they're from. This one is from Kikuo Miku 6, and I just remember listening to this song and it fits so well with the music video in terms of like how it starts, where the music is putting you, where the music video is very much more enforcing that idea of where the song is putting you, and how this song just keeps developing and just gets more and more complex. And it's back to this, I definitely think it's like a signature thing where you reach this peak point of the song where you just have like all this stuff going on everywhere on like each ear. Some things are spinning around on the stereo. In the bass, things are just starting to get a little louder. Some things up in the fucking stratosphere in terms of pitch of just like some sort of like line or like descending line, just something. And there's just so many things that you can start listening to and pick out what kind of sound you want to listen to throughout this entire like section or moment. And I think when I was listening to all this, I just got overwhelmed of how much sound and how much work and detail is just pouring into my ears, and I just started tearing up. I just started crying because of just how beautifully complex, without overdoing it, the song was. Around this time, I started paying attention to music in terms of like what things I was watching. I started paying attention to music a little bit more subconsciously, and the next time I actually started crying or tearing up to a song was actually when I was playing Near for the first time. It was the exact moment of when I walked into the amusement park and I see this whole new area, and this music is just like completely amplifying and intensifying the environment that I'm in playing Near. And as I get closer and closer to the castle, this music just gets more and more developed. I start hearing more and more things all around me, and the same thing just happens. I just tear up. And another time that I can recall, I think this one's a bit more of an obvious like reason why, it would probably be the Requiem of Rem from ReZero. Obviously, it's like, I think it's like episode 13 or 15, that episode in ReZero, where there's just like some crazy shit happens in ReZero, and then just these red subtitled credits start rolling, and this fucking orchestra just comes in of just pure like devastation. And obviously there's some context in there as the reason why that song hit me like as hard as it did, but I definitely don't want to discredit the song in any way by saying that if it wasn't for the anime I wouldn't have cried. That song is so damn sad. Like, you listen to it and it's just pure despair, and just like pure sadness. But my god, it's such a good song, man. That's definitely like a song that like I feel like is a bit more reasonable to have cried to, I guess. So by this point, I'm pretty invested into music. I'm playing drums. I'm studying music a bit more. By studying, I mean like analyzing. I believe the correct term is active listening. I believe is the correct term. More so on the drums, because obviously that was my instrument. And it was around this time when my cousin actually texted me and he says, "Hey, I want to try to help like guide you on a career path." At this time, that's like a talk I just didn't want to have with like anybody for any reason at the time. I was in the mindset of just like, whatever happens in life happens. I don't want to I don't have anything I want to dedicate my life to or anything. So when my cousin initially asked me this, I kind of put it off, and then eventually I was like, all right, like I'll try it at least. And so I go over, we talk, and he has me take this personality test. And by the end of it, he starts reading back the report to me, and I'm being told that like I'm a creative person, I'm a very artistic person, basically a lot of points leading towards creativity and art. I never considered myself a creative person like whatsoever, and that's because my interpretation of creativity was building for some reason, like more like physical, but like fucking Legos or something, more physical building than any other form of building. And what I mean by that is more so like art, like this stuff back here, or music, which is like audio building, I guess, if you want to keep calling it building. And it was at this moment that I realized that creativity is much more than just physical building of any sort. And he pointed out specifically that one of the things that was listed was music. And that definitely caught my ear when he was reading off that list. And I was like, what does it say about music? And started listing off all these jobs, and I was like, oh my god, that's right. People work for me while making music. And I'm like, people got paid to listen to all of these songs that I love. People are getting paid for all of these songs that I love. And I'm like, oh my god, making music is a career. And I think another reason why I never even considered it in the first place was because, to me, whenever I heard somebody say, oh, I'm gonna make music, or anything involving making music, my first thought was hip hop or some sort of rap, and that's generally what did happen when people did say that. So because of that, whenever I thought about music as a career, my first thought was SoundCloud rap, as a SoundCloud rapper, and I was like, yeah, that's definitely not my thing. But I like completely spaced that people make music for media, for different things, for themselves, for expressing concepts, or trying to convey a concept of a certain thing through music. After this whole conversation that we have, I'm like, I am like a new person basically. Like my mind is just like, oh my god, I can do this, I want to do this, this sounds like so much fun, there's so much things I want to do with this. And so the next day I'm looking at my local college music courses and things to study for music. That was almost 3 years ago now. I've been doing music and studying in a way of music at college for about 2 to 3 years, almost 3 years now. And it's just been great. Like, it's so much fun, and just like being able to express these kind of musical ideas or certain concepts that I have in mind, but in musical form, is just so cool to me. And it's very rewarding to get through these giant projects that I can think of, or being able to just like convey something in a non-verbal manner. Throughout this time of me learning music and like trying to understand how music works, what a melody is, what a chorus is, what are chords, what are notes, things like that, the very, very basic of things, I started thinking of like, at what point did I really start to love music? And everything I've listed up to this point was everything I realized from almost 3 years ago. And that main element that I never realized that I really enjoyed for certain songs was harmony. There was a lot of songs, like in Flocka, there was a harmonic moments in certain points where the singer is harmonizing with the brass, the solo brass is going on as the other layers are playing. In Highkey, there's the harmony that goes on between the drums and the main melody. And in general, like, I don't know exactly what kind of sound it is, but I imagine just like a keyboard of some sort that's going on in the background that's also harmonizing with everything else. Or Requiem of Ram, there's a huge fucking orchestral harmony for the main melody. And throughout this whole process, I'm realizing that harmony is something I just absolutely love. And I didn't realize it until almost 3 years ago, when I started like really diving into music and like how music works and how it's structured, this and that. A huge part of that definitely was also conveyed through Kikuo. There's just a ton of moments when the harmony was just so strong that I would start crying, and that is definitely the key factor is in terms of like how to make me cry when I listen to music. It's just like a really good motif or a really good and strong harmony of at a certain point or something, at some point within the music. If there's like almost anything like a super really nice harmony or something, like I'm tearing up like straight up. And I think that's definitely what sort of caused my melancholic preference for music. There's a good handful of like melancholic songs that are just like very light in harmony, but it's done so nicely just because of how simple those songs usually are. Or maybe I'm just not like grasping how complex it actually is. The best examples I can give are some of the Japanese bands I listen to quite a bit today, like Yonije, I believe, and then Mitsume. Those two bands are like a huge amount of music that I listen to today, just because like some of their songs are not necessarily melancholic, but they're not super bright music either. They're pretty mellow, nothing too much of this, too much of that kind of thing. But there's such nice harmonies going on. The voices, the singers are super nice. Everything about their music is just so pleasing to me. And so with all that said, you can kind of piece together that the music I really like to write is more so on the harmonic and emotional kind of music. There's just something about that speaks a lot more to me than lyrics. Overall, I've just never been a lyrical person. You can throw me some lyrics and I'll be like, cool. I don't really like connect with it. I don't really fully understand the deeper meaning of it. It's just like not my thing. But like, you throw me a piece of instrumental music and I'll tell you, you know, the emotions I'm feeling, maybe the intent of what the composer wanted to convey, or whatever I'm hearing within that piece of music. And so because I love more instrumental music, there's a certain combination of instruments, I guess, that I feel like just hasn't been fully tapped that much, which is a blend of orchestral and electronic music. I know like Hans Zimmer exists, and that's like a decent example of it, or Kevin Penkin, whatever you want to call him. They have a good use of that kind of style, but like I don't hear it all that often, if like ever, outside of those guys. Obviously, this could just entirely be in terms of like what I'm exposed to or the music I know or listen to. But I just think there's like such a huge like untapped potential in genre or style of music that I really enjoy to do. So a lot of my music that I write, I try to focus more on the orchestral electronic blending usage kind of thing. I just think it's really cool, especially a lot of potential for like really strong harmonies in different types of timbre and characteristics. Obviously, even after 3 years, I'm still learning there, and I think in any sort of creative field, there's just so much to learn. It doesn't matter if it's art, creative writing, music, or design, anything creative. I think there's just always something to learn. It doesn't matter how many years you have of experience in that field. And definitely even the people who have like double digits of years of experience within that field will say the same thing. And I genuinely think that's true. Obviously, I'm still learning. 3 years is a pretty small number, especially in comparison to some people who've just been at it their whole lives. But I definitely plan to kind of convey this music more in my own videos, maybe use some of my own songs as a background for some videos, depending what the video is supposed to be about or anything like that. And so during those 3 years, I've had some time to think about what it is exactly I want to do with YouTube and just in general, any sort of content that I make or decide to do. And especially going forward as as a musician or a composer who's kind of looking for work at the same time. I still want to do gaming videos, but they're just definitely not going to be like the main substance of my channel anymore. That's just mainly because the amount of clipping or the amount of recording I do for gaming just nearly isn't as much as I used to do years ago. Not that I don't game as much as I did years ago. I probably still game the same amount, maybe just a tiny bit less. It's just recording when I play games or anything like that. It's just not like on the forefront of my mind or anything. So going forward, I kind of just want to do every once in a while a couple gaming videos, something probably about anime. I've done it in the past before. Those were always fun to make. Something involving music, whether it be my own compositions, like a breakdown or my thought process for certain things, or maybe like a short video of me doing a prompt that I decided to give myself to do, or something else like a rant video, kind of like this in a way. In a way, this is kind of like a rant, not really. It's kind of more of me expressing myself about something I just wanted to talk about. Nothing very specific. There's not like bigger purpose or anything. And so those will be the videos that you'll probably be seeing later in the future. And there's probably a good chance as well when I officially start releasing music that I'll obviously be talking about it, whether it be like a single or an album, whatever it is that I happen to be releasing, just to also kind of like give exposure to myself to, like I said, look for work. And yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. I did want to share some of the songs that I have cried to. Obviously, I'm not going to play the songs like one by one or anything. I'll make like a list somewhere. Like I said, there's just specific moments in a variety of music where a very simple like motif or a little line, like whatever the context is, that just like really get me like emotionally. Or of course like the super strong, like the peak moments of the songs, like harmony wise. And of course like some of those songs require some context, especially if they're from a game or some sort of TV or media. But those songs are there if you do feel curious and want to check them out yourselves. I'm going to start doing my best while I edit to leave the song title and the artist's name in the corner of the screen of whatever song is currently playing at whatever moment. I know there's been a lot of times, especially for me personally, where I've been watching a video and there's just a song going in the background and I'm like, what is that song? That song sounds so good. And like, I just can't figure it out. Like I look in the comments, I look in the description, and there's just nothing on there. It's just like, oh man, whatever. That's that, I guess. And so I just want to make sure that nobody feels that way, just because it kind of sucks, especially if the song really intrigues you. And so that's what that text is in the corner of the screen. And yeah, I just want to say, as usual, thank you all so much for watching. I really hope that somebody out there could sort of interpret this into their own life, or maybe have like their own realization about a certain thing in a good, and obviously in a good manner. I would hope. Obviously, that wasn't like the main specific goal of what I had in mind for this video, but it would be really cool if that's just something that naturally happened as someone was watching this video, and that'd be cool. So again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will talk to you all later.